and we're going to talk about one Michael Lorenzen, one all-star Michael Lorenzen from the Detroit Tigers, who could be an option for the Diamondbacks at the deadline. He's put up pretty strong numbers this season. He's on a one-year contract worth $8.5 million. You can see his numbers here: a 3.75 ERA, a 1.13 WHIP. He's averaging right around 6 innings per start, 7 Ks per 9, 2.4 walks per 9, a little bit more of a pitch to contact type, although he throws about 95, 1.1 wins above replacement. Sean, he's not a star, probably not deserving of being an all-star. He was the Tigers' lone representative, but he could still be a big contributor to the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I mean, we were just looking at the probables. Like, if this guy is your third starter and replacing whoever you consider the third guy here.
Yeah, like if it's Davies, Lorenzen Ryan, against Bryce Elder.
Like, you feel a lot better about that. Like, this is, they're not looking for an ace necessarily. And I mean, I guess this is an ace as far as the Tigers are concerned, but like,
well, Eduardo Rodriguez pitched really well too.
True.
We're going to talk about him later.
Yeah. But like, yeah, I mean, if this is your number 3, like that's a significant upgrade, and it's just, and regardless, like you get good performances, but none of those 3 guys after Merrill are trustworthy.
Yeah,
you can't like Tommy's probably the most trustworthy, and that's not a good situation. That doesn't mean we feel good. So. This makes this team significantly better if they're able to acquire a guy like this. You need like that. That's your third starter in the playoffs. Like that makes this team a significantly bigger threat to actually accomplish something this season.
Yeah. If we look at the pros and cons that we have jotted down here for Michael Lorenzen, on the pros side, from a financial standpoint, pretty affordable. Like I said, $8.5 million for the whole season. He'd make around $3 million or so the rest of the way, depending on when the trade happened. He is a clear upgrade in the Diamondbacks rotation. 3.75 ERA. I mean, I know Tommy Henry's ERA is right around there, but obviously Ryan Nelson and Zach Davies have not been nearly that good. And on paper, Sean, I don't think it should cost too much. I mean, it's 2 months of Michael Lorenzen. You would hope it wouldn't cost much. We don't really know how the trade market is going to pan out. On the con side, there will probably be a lot of competition for a guy like Michael Lorenzen, even if he's not that good. And of course, he is just a rental, just 2 months the rest of the season. And he does have a bit of an injury history as well. I think it was a groin issue to open the season that he got over pretty quickly. Had some shoulder stuff last year, if I'm remembering correctly. So not necessarily the most durable guy.
Yeah, I mean, the key for me here is that low prospect cost, because we obviously were talking a lot today about how they are right on the fence of whether or not they're even going to be buying or not. This is a good happy medium. Like, to get someone at a low cost and still have some flexibility if it doesn't work out, especially a guy that has had a few injuries. Like, if you trade for him, the worst case scenario is you trade for him, give up a bunch of prospects, and then he gets hurt and doesn't play, and he's a rental and then doesn't resign, and then you've just completely wasted your time. Like, so I think having a low prospect cost there is pretty key. And I mean, as far as the competition is concerned, the D-backs have a good system. Like, they have good prospects. So I feel like they're going to be able to compete with other teams as far as offers are concerned. On paper, for a lot of reasons, I really like the idea of Lorenzen being a D-back, just because I think it gives you a tremendous amount of flexibility to be a good team this year and still not handicap yourself for years to come if it doesn't necessarily work out the way you want it to.
Yeah, this is kind of the direction that I personally am leaning for the D-backs. Like, all right, you've taken a big step back in the standings. You're still in the mix to make the playoffs. You're still in a good spot. Maybe you don't get Marcus Stroman. Yeah. Maybe you don't reach for the top of the market. But like a guy like Michael Lorenzen really adds a lot to this baseball team. And yeah, in a playoff series, like, you can start Michael Lorenzen in a game 3. Yeah. I mean, maybe it's not ideal, but you can absolutely put him out there.
You're doing that, then you're, especially in a playoff situation, you're assuming you're going to have access to Tommy and Dre, or not Dre.
Not Dre. Not Dre anymore.
Ryan and Zach. Now, how much you want to rely on any of those in a playoff situation at all is a different conversation. But you now have, especially a guy like Tommy, like you have guys now. You have a lot more flexibility in the playoffs. Like, you have, it makes your bullpen deeper as far as the playoffs concerned by acquiring like a legitimate third starter. Because, like, I mean, we all know the playoffs, the rules are different. Like, it's do or die. Anything goes at that point. So, like, I to me, and I don't think this is necessarily a hot take, but like, the starting pitching is by far the biggest. Like, they need a third arm. That is by far the biggest target as far as I'm concerned. because if they do that, I think it helps their team in a couple of ways.
Yeah, I mean, and it really is easy to forget that like the D-backs, it hasn't been that long without Merrill Kelly, but it has been a little while.
Yeah.
And like they feel that. I mean, the difference between Merrill Kelly and some of these other, I mean, I guess although they haven't replaced Merrill Kelly.
Yeah, I was going to say
they've just kind of gone with a four-man rotation.
They won the bullpen games.
Yeah, right,
so
right.
It is, yeah, but I mean, for sure, it's the lack of just knowing that he's there. I think definitely changes things.
Yeah.
So
it's the D-backs obviously starting pitching is going to be a big point of emphasis. When I was first looking at a trade target to talk about for today, Jordan Montgomery of the Cardinals was actually the first guy who came to my mind. But he apparently exited his last start early with a hamstring issue. So I think
isn't he getting traded to the Mariners for?
Is that word on the street?
I saw some crazy that we were talking
George
about earlier.
Kirby.
I forget who it was, but like it was some ridiculous
for 2 months of a hobble. Jordan Montgomery.
It was the craziest thing. It's got to be something that was coming out of St. Louis, but it was crazy to me. But he was getting tossed around.
Connor says Merrill back in Cincy ? I do think that is a distinct possibility. He threw about a 75 pitch simulated game. Sounds like things went pretty well there. So I would not at all be surprised if the D-backs were able to bring Merrill Kelly back in Cincinnati, which would obviously be huge for this baseball team. We're going to keep talking about trade targets. Hopefully we get to keep having these conversations and the Diamondbacks continue to be in a position where it makes sense to have those conversations, which it still does today. But obviously
Logan Gilbert, that's who it was. Yeah.
Oh, Logan Gilbert. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you're going to see a lot of ridiculous trade offers thrown out there on Twitter. We're going to try to be, I know we were talking about Shohei Ohtani, Paul Goldschmidt, and Nolan Arenado last week. The mood has changed a little bit around here. We're going to talk maybe about some more realistic options down the stretch.